What was that great quote that I think Kanye said recently? He quoted Dave Chappelle: "Dishonorable men honor money." And could be, but what's his face popped up in my face? Kamzat and Conor McGregor and all these guys.
Yeah, speaking of Dave Chappelle, you heard they're bringing his special back on Netflix on Sunday. The Chappelle
Get
show.
Out of here.
Yeah,
Chappelle show.
Chappelle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pin
The Chappelle show.
Yeah, the Chappelle show is coming back on.
It's not gonna be the same. It's not like how it was. Chappelle's the greatest.
No, they're bringing the old episodes to Netflix,
like a rerun.
Yeah, they're bringing the whole thing back.
Not like a new thing.
They cut him a check. They had to cut him a check.
Dave Chappelle said that Key and Peele actually took over his show. You think that's true?
I mean, they took it and ran with it.
They're kind of kosher.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle was raw.
That's
That's what we all loved about Dave Chappelle. The Chappelle show was like raw. You have to have balls to do sketches like that.
Yeah.
Just raw.
And do it right. You have to be smart to do it right.
Do it right, and especially in Hollywood because they want to whitewash everything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, Dave Chappelle, man. I hope the Chappelle show or something of that caliber could come back.
What about Kanye West, man? You said Kanye West.
Don't even get started on Kanye. Did you have any good, I had epiphany moments, man. I didn't think Kanye was going to be, this wise.
Did you guys see him on the podcast?
Yeah.
He was saying, I mean, listen, like Dave Chappelle said once in an interview when he was on Oprah Winfrey, he said it's very dismissive to call somebody crazy. Oh, I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. He was talking about the industry. And the industry, and when I say industry, I'm talking about music, I'm talking about entertainment. There's a lot of things that happen behind closed doors in the industry we don't know about, right? One of the things that you can pay attention to is, stars, actors or actresses or musicians. Sometimes they throw in a few things here and there, kind of to let you know that there's something going on behind closed doors, but they can't really emphasize on what's happening in Hollywood. But there is something happening in Hollywood, right? So Dave Chappelle was talking about this on many different platforms, and one of them was Oprah. Basically, how have you ever seen this?
Yeah, I did.
So basically, how he did, certain TV shows or movies, they were pressing him onto wear a dress. Like, come on, Dave, we think it would be funny for you to wear. He's like, no, I don't want to wear a dress. And he goes, why are they trying to put every black male in movie roles in a dress? If you look at Medea or whatever, and then you look at like Martin Lawrence has been in that, and many, many, many people play in those roles. So I remember Kanye West, he was on stage and he said something like, I sold my soul to the devil. It was a crappy deal. It came with a few toys like a Happy Meal. What do you think that means? I sold my soul to the devil. It was a crappy deal.
I don't know, man. Kanye, he's just like a string of thoughts. I feel like he's just channeling in many avenues of information all at once. So as he said, to put in his words, is like his conversations are like symphonies, right? So it's hard to really keep track of what he's trying to say or what he's talking about. But I feel like I'm just not at that level to understand him. After watching this episode, I'm so glad I got to see not like some snippets of Kanye West, right? Because I think that just misconstrues what the whole person is saying. Now when we got to see raw, uncut, you get to see, man, this guy went through a lot. And a lot of it that he wants to kind of tell you, he wants to expose, but then he kind of holds back. Because this is one moment where he said, oh, they took a picture of me and then they contacted me to take it down. And Joe Rogan is like, who contacted you to take it down? He's like, oh, I can't remember now.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second.
He was at the hospital. Yeah, he posted a picture at the hospital and they told him to take it down.
Who told him to take it down? He doesn't remember that. He couldn't say it. He just didn't want to say it. He couldn't say it. I mean, I don't mean to go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theorists, but I don't know, man. Like you said, there's something bizarre going on, and many artists come out and they try to like tell you, like Michael Jackson, for instance. Remember him when he was trying to like say some things, and he would always cut off and say, I can't say too much. I can't. And at that moment when he was live and I would watch these videos and I would think, oh, man, what a nutcase.
Yeah.
But now, and I'm starting to see a lot of other celebrities say the same thing. I'm like, wait a second, man. This is just being repeated too often. There has to be something there. So I don't think Kanye is crazy at all anymore. I used to. But like, why is he running for president? Like, does he really believe that that's a calling of his? Like, can he really make a change? What do you think about that?
There's a saying in my language. They say, if you want to be in fame, you have to be insane. So it's just playing that whole part.
Is it saying in Arabic?
Yeah.
Say it in Arabic. Does it rhyme in
I
Arabic?
don't know.
Too?
I don't even know.
Know
El Fanjan. It's like 3 words or whatever. So basically, if you really want to define what that means it can mean multiple things, but mainly it's that acting out or being able to sing your butt off in front of thousands of people, not any normal human being can do that. There's a thing where they say that majority of people are more afraid of public speaking than their own death. So if you're going to be in fame, right, you have to be a little insane. But it comes with, what does that say? What is that saying? Genius is borderline crazy. And I believe that some of these people and some of these, celebrities, they're genius. I don't believe that Kanye West is a loony. He's a Looney Tune. He may seem like it, right? But imagine you have your whole life being filmed. Imagine you're constantly, bombarded by paparazzi. Imagine that you have tabloids always talking about your personal life, your wife, your kids. So these people are, they're going nuts. And what happens? They rebel. What happens when they rebel? They put you out to be like, like Eminem said, they make you look like a loose cannon, So it's like Britney Spears. She goes and shaves her head. You know what I mean? Why? Why does she go and shave her head? It's because she rebelled. She's saying, you know what? Because you're not looked at as a human being. You are dollar signs to these companies, record labels. They own you. They want you to go and tour. Oh, you want a vacation? Well, yeah, you have a limited time of vacation, but then, honey, you have to go on tour. You're a money-making machine. You're not a human being anymore.
Yeah, you think Madonna still wants to work after having all that money? Yeah, right.
But like, what would you say defines like what makes insanity, right? Like, and I asked that because I recently finished a book, Veronica Decides to Die. Remember that book?
From Paulo Coelho.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I love him. And I don't know how well you remember it or if any of you guys read it, but it's about like a girl who tries to commit suicide.
What's the name?
Veronica Decides to Die. And she takes pills and it doesn't work. She didn't die. They saved her before she was able to die. A very high level, and without going too much detail, pretty much the doctor tells her that she has like a week to live and then she's going to die. And they put her in a mental asylum. And in there, she meets people, and it's kind of like, what is insanity? Is it just because you don't follow like the normal class and do what everyone in society tells you to do? It's like, why do you wear a tie? Just an extra piece of cloth. Someone might see it as something classy, or someone else could see it as just a very unnecessary extra thing that has no meaning behind it. And then they call that person crazy just because they don't agree with the society. So how do you define insanity?
Wow.
If I were to take a stab at it. There's this quote that I heard. I forget who said it. A genius is a person who swims in the same water the schizophrenic drowns.
I like that.
I'm paraphrasing, by the way. I fucked it up totally.
It sounded good.
You get the drift what I'm saying, right? A genius is a person who swims in the same water a schizophrenic person is drowning. They can't help themselves. It's basically the water being analogous to all that information that we can channel in from the ether, right? The schizophrenic can't handle it. And they're drowning in that same water, just like you get somebody else who could just dive in with that same information and now just stroke. Simple breaststroke. Just know how to survive up, right? So a lot of these people that are geniuses, we might think like, oh, they're a little bit loony. It's because, man, they're way beyond. Like, would any of you in a bad storm jump in the ocean? No.
Right.
We're smarter than that. There's no way. But that really good swimmer that you see sometimes at a beach that just decides to push the limit a little bit more. And we all look at him in awe like, oh my God. Look at this dude. What is he doing? Geniuses are the same way.
Like Khabib was swimming up against the
Oh,
river.
you saw that?
Yeah.
Wow, man.
The same thing. People are like, he's crazy.
He makes
He's
it look
crazy.
easy. But you ever tried that? I tried that the other day in Heston Valley. I was like, this is not happening at all.
Yeah, and then everyone said he's crazy. You know, it's insane. What is he doing?
Yeah. How would you take a stab at it? What is insanity? Because I don't judge insane people anymore as I used to. I really sympathize with them.
But you're still labeling them insane.
Society would label them, right?
Okay.
You know, just not just by my standards. I really sympathize with them and say, I don't think that they're out of their mind. I think they're channeling in some other realms
Yeah.
that they really can't explain themselves. You ever talk to somebody who's clinically diagnosed with, let's say, schizophrenia or any sort of a thing, bipolar disorder or something? Have you guys ever?
No, I never.
So I was chit-chatting with a customer who was clinically diagnosed with schizophrenia. And he's telling me, like, you know, I hear some voices. So I just started going, you know, asking a little bit more questions. The therapist inside me saying, what do you hear? What are they telling you? And he's like, you know, they just sometimes tell me to hurt people. I'm like, is this guy channeling in demons, you know, from some other realm? So I asked him, like, what's the worst thing that you ever heard? He goes, you know, they tell me to hurt my girlfriend while she was pregnant. I was like, yo, does he really hear that?
Or is that just his mind playing tricks on him?
Mind playing tricks? Or what is it? He seems like a very normal, good guy. Like, he was like, I would never do that. I could understand that there's something else telling me to do this, and I would never do that. But I hear the voices, and I don't hear them anymore after I take this medication. And I was like, okay.
Well, it's like system error, man. The brain, basically, what they say is the human body is just a machine designed to carry your brain around. Without the brain, you're basically nothing. Sure. And if you look at it like people who develop at an older age, what is that, Alzheimer's?
Or dementia.
Yeah. All of a sudden, you know, they forget how to put a shirt on. So, I mean, the brain is a magnificent thing, but I want to go back to what you were talking about. How do you label insane? How do you label who's crazy, who's normal? If you take someone that's like living out in Amazon, right, away from society, one of these, you know, indigenous people, and you bring them into our society and our way of life, you don't think that this guy or this person is going to see your lifestyle from morning, right, from start to finish, and maybe he'll look at you and say, you're crazy. You're literally crazy. You're telling me that you are just, you know, you put on this strap that chokes your neck, right? And then you go and sit on a desk for 9 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like he'll look at you like, no, this is insanity. What you people are doing is insanity. There was a story I once heard this scholar was telling, and he brought somebody over from the deserts of Mauritania, right? So he came to the United States for the first time ever. Now, in the deserts of Mauritania, basically a lot of these people don't even have brick homes. They live in tents. Okay? They still live in tents. Bedouins. So he comes to the States and they take him to like a McDonald's or a Wendy's. So they go through the drive-through, whatever. So they pull up, they get the food, and they leave. So he goes, "This is crazy." They go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "First of all, you pulled up and you spoke to a machine, and the machine spoke back to you. But when you pulled up to the human being, you guys didn't say a word to each other."
Wow.
So he thought that that was one of the craziest things that he's ever seen. Or like when he's seen a homeless person. He went on to tell a story. He said, "Why is this guy without a shirt?" So he said, "Oh, because he's homeless." So he said, "Homeless? What is that?" He goes, "He can't afford a home." He goes, "How is that possible? He can just build anywhere." Like when in his hometown, in his part of the world, there's no such thing as homelessness. You just pick a land and you build on it. So what is crazy, man? We might be the crazy ones, right? But you can't define who's crazy and who's normal.
Wow, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was a really good one because that's relative, right? What's crazy to one person might not be crazy to the other person. Like, but if you really look at our society, I read this one article called Nakaremas, and it spoke about anthropologically about some other society that has a lot of these weird things that they do on their normal day-to-day basis, right? And I'm going to spoil it for you guys and tell you the ending of the article. It's just one page. At the end, you find out it's actually, well, so what they do is they have like shrines within their houses that they all worship certain things, and they're very obsessed with their mouths, and they have like tools, and they have a shaman that you go to the shaman and he like pokes your mouth with certain things, and they're obsessed with their mouths. And there's a couple other ones too that I'm forgetting right now. But at the end of the article, you realize Nakaremas is American spelled backwards. And those shamans that he was talking about was actually dentists that we all go to, and we're obsessed with oral hygiene and how that looks. But then I started going on in my own rant inside my head, thinking about like, dude, we're really not that sane of a human society over here, right? Like if you look at guys who are just obsessed with the gym, and everybody's sticking steroids and needles within themselves and creating a certain body image for them to look like, but inside they're rotting away. Or women doing plastic surgeries just for them to try to seem like the optimal healthy self, but it's actually fake. So if you look at it from an outside perspective, dude, we're rotting, we're crazy, taking pills for anything, you name it. Right? That's just the beginning of it. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many other things that you come to think about that, dude, we're out of our minds. Just like the home thing, right? Like you're telling me nobody can give that homeless guy a shirt, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
our society can't afford a home for him.
It just didn't resonate with him.
Or like how in the 1920s when there was a Great Depression and people couldn't afford food, but there's farms, right? Loads and loads of food. What do you mean you have to exchange paper in order to get food? Just go in the farm and eat the food. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, what do you mean you have to exchange your life and for paper, and then for that you can purchase on other things? But if that's not there, we can't live. Like before the economy was built, there was no world. It's
Oh yeah, no, I mean people used to, like, I asked my grandmother, God rest her soul, before she passed, I used to sit down and talk to her because, I believe that, that generation, once it's gone, it never comes back. You know what I mean? And she told us, like, I was like, what happened in this era and how'd you guys? She goes, we used to exchange. You know, if I had chickens and you had sugar, here's a few chickens. You give me some sugar. If I had some sheep and you had some cows, you know, here's a sheep and and that's the way life moved forward, you know. But we're living a different era, and different people. But like I said, when this whole pandemic happened, right, and the governor of New York came out in the beginning of this all, and he said, one reporter asked him, "So when do you think we're going to go back to normal?" And right away he goes, "I don't think we'll ever go back to normal." And in my head, I was like, I looked at my wife. I said, "Isn't it too soon for him to say that? Like, does he know something that we don't? You know, how do you just determine that we'll never be able to reach back to normal?" And then I thought about it really hard, man, because everything was happening all at once and people were having anxiety and they weren't sure what's going on. And then I looked at the way of life today and I said, you know what? They call it the new normal. Maybe we might be headed to a real normal. Like, were we really living in a normal? Like, I looked at my own life. I wake up, go to work, come home, repeat. My life is on repeat. It's a constant, looking at numbers. You know, how much numbers do I have in the bank account today? How much can I achieve? You know, can I double that? Can I triple that? So, you know, and I think that's why social media today has, you know, they're playing a big part. Because, you know, I heard something that was very interesting, and I want to get your point on this. Social media companies don't compete with each other on, you know, who gets more downloads or who gets more clicks. It's competing about how much time can people spend on our platform more than others. So Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Snapchat and all these things, they're competing to see how much time they can have you spend on their platform, as much as possible. Why is that? Why are major companies, social media companies, worried about pulling you in to just take as much time out of your life as possible? What's the reason behind that? Because time is all you have. You said something in the last episode we had, which I thought about it, and it was amazing to me. You said that when the first time you realized that time never stops.
Right.
You know, it's a continuous thing that just keeps on going and going and going. And it all goes back to what we were talking about. Who's normal? You know? Who's normal here? I mean, this is, it's an interesting topic. And this is why we call it, you know, if anybody doesn't know about Penny Universities is the name of the podcast. You know, this is a good introduction for it. And Penny Universities were coffee houses that were first established in the 18th century England. And these places were visited by professors and students. And they became so popular that the professors actually started taking their books to these Penny University's cafes because they didn't want to go against that. Students were there to speak about philosophy, speak about life, speak about politics, just in general, it was an open conversation for all walks of life to just sit, converse, and try to figure things out. And this is all we're trying to do. We're just trying to figure things out.
I see what you're watching. I see that you've seen that new Joe Rogan episode.
Oh, yeah.
And you told me to watch.
I
see
told
where
you.
you were going with that. I didn't watch it though.
Yeah.
Right? But this guy was talking about how they all want to compete for our attention because they're literally giving us that dopamine hit over and over again, right? They're programming us to be hypnotized by these devices and just take away our life, take away our time. But we have to be in control for this, right? Like now that we're understanding that this is the new cigarettes, and we live in that same time that when doctors would tell you, hey, why don't you just smoke cigarettes for digestion to pregnant women? And now we live in that time and we don't actually see how our habits are so detrimental for our well-being. I mean, we might be the most depressed society that there is. Everyone's posting on Instagram, trying to make it seem like they're living their best life, but is it all real? No, it's all just for likes. None of it's real.
No, I mean, when I was in Greece, right, you reminded me of something, and I was talking to the natives over there. And when you travel, you realize there's so many ways of thinking. And there was this one lady that worked in a cafe, and she said, it's in my second life. And I was like, second life? She was like, yeah, you have a second life? And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I came to find out that they called social media second life in Greece.
Wow.
Oh shit.
And I was like,
oh, it's like a simulation.
Yeah. And that never hit me until then. I said, second life.
Wow.
You're right.
Keeping that one. Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Like, because you guys remember when we first started going on the internet, like when MySpace first came out, I couldn't wrap my head around that, right? I remember one of my cousins came over to my house, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta use your computer." And I'm like, "What happened? You have like an assignment due or something that you need to send to your professor?" He's like, "No. I gotta check this website." What website? For what? He's like, "Oh, MySpace." He's like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, it's my profile." Profile for what? Like, I'm not really comprehending this. So he's like, no, just watch. So he goes on, turns on the computer, goes on the laptop, types in his MySpace, logs in, and just goes to see if somebody commented on his page. And I was like, what the hell? What a nerd. You know, we're over here hanging out, we're playing football, and this guy wants to go online to see if somebody wrote something on some page for him. Damn. And I was like, this is never going to work out. Nobody's ever going to do this. I'm never going to do this. Meanwhile, the next month, I have my own MySpace. Addicted. Straight up. You're addicted to the dopamine hit now.
Yeah, man. They know how to get it.
Now, be whoever you want online.
You're being whoever you want.
Can you really be whoever you want?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You could pretend.
It's not real, man. It's a simulation.
You know? Yeah. This is the life. I mean, we forgot what it feels like to be in the moment, you know, because it's like your life is it's basically days are just flashes, and we don't really remember days. We remember moments, and the moments that you have are like rumors, and the only ones that truly believe in you are the ones that you shared those moments with. Everybody else is just like a rumor because they really weren't there to experience those beautiful moments with you. And I feel like we're losing those beautiful moments. We don't really capture that moment that we're having when we're at a graduation, a kindergarten graduation for our daughter, and we really want to soak it in, and we want to take that mental picture, right, for us, but we want to capture that moment for everyone else. It's no longer about these moments that we should cherish within the membrane.
Yeah, and I feel like it's so like, I don't know what the word is, but like they do it like without even noticing it nowadays. Like this is when I was like what is going on? I was watching like I think it was NBA finals, and then whatever, like the Lakers won the championship, and then you see like their family pull out their phones and take pictures and videos. And my thought was, well, the whole world is going to have video and pictures of this. You don't need to capture this moment on your phone, be there in the moment.
Right.
And I was just like, I don't know, I found that really strange. Like all the cameras there and you still want to,
right.
not live in it.
I mean, we're a generation that has recorded the most, and we're living the least.
Right.
In my opinion.
Beautifully said, bro.
Right?
100%.
I have a gazillion photos in my phone, and I go back to it, I don't even remember those moments because I wasn't there. I'm too busy trying to capture it in my phone. And then I go back, I'm like, what? This happened? This was, I was there? Oh, yeah. And I try to go back, and I can't even remember it in my mind, but I have it in my device here. No substance.
And that's the crazy thing, because we're literally these days we're watching homemade videos of people their whole lives. My daughter watches like this thing on YouTube, like A for Allie, and it's just like this 4-year-old girl with her mother and her father and her sibling, and it's a homemade video. They go to the park, and then they go to the supermarket, and and I'm over here watching. I'm like, what have we become? We're watching homemade videos of other people.
Right. We could be living in our own home.
Yeah.
And just having our own time. Yeah.
And that's why
but at the same time, there's some good stuff from it too, right? Let's not just keep bashing all the technology.
No.
Right.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of good things. Like I've learned everything from YouTube. I've learned more from YouTube than I have from the university that I was paying them like, $10,000 a semester for. And I'll go home and I'll learn everything on YouTube. But I think every technology that comes out, you gain something, but then you also lose something at the same time, right? Like when calculators came out, I'm sure nobody knows how to even do 2 times 2 anymore, right? Right or wrong? When I'm sure when literature came about, or when writing came about, nobody remembered anything anymore.
The technology was created for us, right?
As a tool.
To make things easier on yourself. Here's an example. You have the ability to get in contact with someone, right, from thousands of miles away, oceans apart, within 2 seconds. But how often do we remember to give that person a call? It's made easy for us, but we're just not valuing this technology for what it is.
Bro, think about this, right? Before we had Google or any sort of search engine, we had encyclopedias. And where were these encyclopedias? They were inside libraries. And a lot of times these libraries weren't really that close to us, right? Now we have it at the palm of our hands, and we're the dumbest generation. But beforehand, like we probably don't even remember, what do we need to remember for it? I could just look it up now, right? But before, think about the generation that had to prepare themselves, go somewhere. They had to travel. They had to really engulf themselves into becoming that person. You can't erase that memory from that person anymore, right? But instantaneously, if it comes, it's gonna leave instantaneously too. It doesn't stick around anymore.
No, because one man said it the best.
Smartphones with dumb people.
Exactly, that too. But he said the fact that we're giving diplomas out for education and knowledge is when everything went downhill. Because now learning isn't about learning to learn all the information that you need to have in this life to develop and move forward. Learning is just something that It's a paper that you achieve. I mean, not for everybody, but it's you just learn things or memorize things to pass tests, not to actually
acquire the knowledge.
Exactly.
Right. It's just to.
So that's why you forget most of the things that you learned. I mean, how much do you remember from what you've learned in college or throughout high school?
Like you said, moments. I had moments with really intellectual teachers who changed the way I thought. And I became different in those times. Mm-hmm. But I really learned myself, honestly speaking. And I think that's the part of life, right? If you think you're going to go to school and then you get out and there's normal learning,
That's just the beginning.
That's it. Like, your whole life you're going to be learning. And that's the mindset that you should have, and that you have to do it yourself. Nobody can sit down and teach you anything. Like, it just can't happen. You can have the best professor. If you don't want to learn it, you don't apply yourself to it, you're not learning anything. But haven't you noticed this one thing? Some of the best people at anything, like a barber, for instance, don't necessarily have their diploma. They're just hands-on experience, and they're the best. Yeah. Joe Rogan, for instance, one of the best journalists never went to a fancy institution and gotten a fancy degree to really put himself out there. Right? Some of the best people who really apply themselves to the art, they master it.
Yeah, a lot of people are dropouts too that are
entrepreneurs.
Successful. Yeah. Didn't Elon Musk drop out of like Harvard or something? Or MIT or something like that with his brother, and then
did he?
Bill Gates never went to college.
No. I think he dropped out of college.
He dropped out.
I think a lot of these geniuses figure out in college.
A lot of people try to say that, so I was like, hey, I don't need to go to college. Bill Gates dropped out.
Look at Bill Gates.
He dropped out of Harvard, though. He didn't drop out of community college.
That's a difference.
You would love to say that.
I wish that would have worked.
But it's real though. They realize when they're there, like, listen,
you don't need this.
Yeah, like I could learn this either on my own, or I've learned this, and keep in mind they didn't have technology like we do now. I mean, you know what I mean? And they still knew that they could do it on their own, and it's not they can't teach them anything that they don't know or they won't figure out.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask something though? Do you think it's such a bad thing that we're not memorizing stuff?
Yeah.
Like, what's the purpose if I could just go on my phone and then search it up?
Well, what if tomorrow you don't have that phone?
That's a good point.
It's not just that either. It's also like say you get in a debate, a friendly debate or whatever it may be. Yeah. And you can't just sit there and start Googling what you want to prove. Yeah. And also how much of it is authentic.
Yeah, your brain is a muscle.
Yeah, there's some things that I feel like you need to know.
You need to exercise that brain, man.
No, definitely.
I mean, I remember growing up, 97, 96, I memorized at least 30 numbers.
Yeah.
At least 30 numbers. Right away.
Like your family and friends and stuff?
Family, friends, especially me.
How many numbers do you know now?
Mine and my wife, and a couple more. Like
be lucky if you know your own now, right?
I swear to God, are you kidding me? It's crazy.
You know how many people I get come into the store and be like, oh, "What's your number?" Like, "Oh, I gotta check." Like, you don't know your own phone number?
Yeah, no, that's just something else.
But it happens.
Yeah,
that's just extreme. But I think it's not gonna go backwards, right? It's gonna go forward. Yeah, we're gonna go forward. Now we're gonna have the glasses, and then they're gonna have the lens, and then you're gonna have a chip. Straight into so like what Mo just said right now, you're not
need your brain.
The next generation is not gonna necessarily memorize anything because they're constantly looking it up, and they're going to be looking it up straight through their lens. Mm-hmm. Didn't Apple come out with the glasses already?
It might be like a prototype.
Oh yeah.
I could have sworn I saw something.
Mm-hmm. Snapchat has
the
glasses,
spectacles or something.
Spectacles, right? That you can with a search engine. Isn't Apple coming out with a search engine? Did you guys hear about that?
I haven't.
Yeah, maybe it's a rumor. I'm not sure, but they're coming out with their own search engine, and I think it's gonna go with their spectacles.
I think you're talking about Google with the glasses. I think Google came out with glasses or something like that.
They're probably old.
Yeah,
both. No, they're both. They're definitely competing with each other. Yeah. Google came out with phones too. Now they're always trying to compete with each other. These mega tech companies are always competing with each other.
And you think about it.
It's like who's gonna go to the moon first?
Yeah. And the technology, it's like from the invention of the wheel and how slow the progression was from then, right, with the human being advancing forward, to how fast technology has been advancing. Like first it was like beepers, and then from beepers it was like Motorola's, and the Motorola's, and like all of a sudden I'm seeing somebody right in front of me, half across the world, and then sooner or later it's like
It's exponential, yeah.
it's fast. So who knows, man? I just hope that we can benefit from the technology, and hopefully, it won't dumb us down or destroy us.
Yeah. And like kind of going back to like the whole social media topic, we only covered like just one part of their goals. You gotta keep in mind like the business aspect of it, like they, getting information, selling information, targeting, marketing, and all that kind of stuff. So it's not just spending time on their platform. It's also like what they provide on their platform that you, like your subconscious notices. We spoke about like the commercials and all that stuff in the past.
Right.
It's like those things on social media too. The advertisements that YouTube throws in there and your favorite videos and all that stuff when you're scrolling on Instagram or, seeing stories, and they throw in very small clips that you recognize later on.
It's like The Rock. He has 200 million followers on Instagram. So he could post one thing and get to 200 million people.
Yeah.
That's
So powerful, man.
that's influence.
Yeah.
That's influence. Who would ever seen that coming, man?
You know how I look at the internet and like certain places. You know how I look at 42nd Street, Times Square? Kind of like an archaic museum of what the internet is now. This is how it used to be back then. All the advertising spots that you see everywhere. People would come all over the world just to see it. And over here, if they saw it there, now it would sell like crazy. But that's what Google is now, right?
Good point.
Now, when you go into, because that's the real estate now. That's the high quality real estate. Is it if you get on the top of Google search, it's gonna sell. People are gonna pay for that.
Yeah.
It happens on all different platforms. It's gonna happen on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Google, Yelp, you name it.
100%. And you know what? It goes back to the power of language. All these people who were developing, who were creating, they knew that this was coming. Even back in the 50s, they had technology, that we wouldn't even think that they had at the time. The military was using technology in the 60s and 70s that we're using today. A lot of people don't know that. So when you go and the internet first came out, you knew www dot whatever. But a lot of people don't know is that word www is something that they've created, but they know. They knew how to name. You got to listen to language. It's the most important thing in the world. So they called it the World Wide Web. That's not by mistake. The World Wide Web. And it's basically like the spider web. And once its victim is caught in the web, it's hard to escape it. So the whole world is trapped in this web. And that spider could either come and eat your insides or hopefully you get to escape. But I think it's hard to escape.
Yeah, I mean, do you know anyone that doesn't use the internet? I know people without TVs, but they still have internet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
But can you actively let go of the internet?
You just can't.
No way, man. It's very easy access to
Practically
anything
impossible.
in the world. And you're just talking about the regular internet. What about the deep web?
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other thing.
You heard about Tor, the deep web? This is where the government
web?
agencies can't even monitor what you're doing. This is where all the sales of firearms, hitmen, prostitutes, I mean, you name it. All sort of illegal activities going on where no one can monitor.
The dark web, right? It's it's interesting, man. When you go to a restaurant, you sit down and you see these this couple across from each other, and they're not even talking to each other. And you analyze these things. Observation. I have to know what's going on around me. How fast are we going down this path? And I realize it's like, okay, you have two human beings who are out to dinner, and they're sitting across from each other. They're not saying a single word to each other. They're both on their gadgets.
Yeah, it's like they're closer when they're away. When they're home.
The worst thing is if you see them just doing this right here. Just scrolling.
There's a word for
they're
that.
Bored.
It's like where you're blindly scrolling. There's a word for it. I can't remember.
On their news feed,
But yeah, it's literally like they're closer when they're not together. Like they're talking to each other on their phones, and they're just closer then. Because when they're together, then they have the FOMO feeling, the fear of missing out. So they're just on the social media, whatever it is. But when they're home, it's just like on their phone talking to each other, texting.
Or it's like he's at work, and then I miss you, baby, I love you, baby, hugs and kisses. And then when he gets home, he's like, hey.
Yeah.
So we have this realization, right? What can we do? Like let's have a solution-based conversation. What can we do now, knowing this actively, to get our life back? You want to take a stab at it?
Meditation.
Hey, listen.
second that.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, but how much meditation? What's the ratio? The meditation to
Everyone could be
social
different.
media.
How much water do you need to drink? Everyone's different.
Everyone's different. Absolutely. Good point. Meditation. If I were to give
Just empty
somebody
thought.
advice, sit in a room, give yourself time, man. Just, away from technology,
I'm
away
getting
from
anxiety just thinking about being in a room away from my phone. Right now, as we're talking, I've been looking at my phone. Like, did I get any notifications?
Yeah.
I'm just getting this itch to just grab my phone just to go like this again. Yeah, man. FOMO is a big thing, man.
It is.
Am I
It's
missing
really
out
true,
on
yeah.
something that's happening on my newsfeed that I didn't catch? Sometimes I'll watch hours go by on Instagram, and I feel like if I just do a little bit more, I'll see something that's gonna change my life. But we gotta gain recognition on that. Like we gotta realize, we gotta acknowledge, not recognition. We gotta acknowledge this.
Yeah.
First step is always acknowledging that you have a problem, right?
Yeah, very true.
That's key.
Yeah. And as a society, I think we need to come to this acknowledgement that we have a problem. But are the big tech corporations going to let that happen? We got to take power in our own hands.
Yeah.
I mean, not to sound like a revolutionist here, but it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Something needs to happen in order for us to gain our own life back. Because like you said, time is always going. That's all that we really have. And that's how we gain money, is exchanging our time for that paper money to really buy something else. But are we really putting a unit on our time? That's all that we have, and we're just giving it away freely.
Giving it away, man.
Freely.
We're a ticking clock.
Right.
I mean, there was a dean in our school, and he used to always say, when we would be in the auditoriums and ready to line up, he was like a general. I loved him. And he used to always say, you take care of you, and your role will be perfect. He said it every time. You take care of you, and your role will be perfect.
Sounds like Mr. Sakadaro. Is that him?
No.
It's as simple as that, and as complicated as that, right? If we all could just focus on ourselves collectively as a society, we're all going to be okay. But we're always going to have those people that stray off and just going to want to.
That's fine. That's fine. But as long as you take care of yourself, first, start with yourself.
It's
Sit
tough,
down.
man. It's tough because we, as a species, we like approval of our community, right? I mean, how did I get sucked into that MySpace? I never thought I would, but then everyone's doing it, and now I'm missing out. Everyone's talking about it. Hey, what about his friend list or that friend list? I was like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
All right, let me go check it out too, right?
But you have to realize that they're missing out.
That FOMO was a major thing, man.
Seriously.
This is how we police ourselves. This is how our society police each other.
You were missing out, right? You felt like you were missing out, but really they're missing out on the most valuable thing in life, right? Which is to be present in the moment. Be present. You know, having a conversation with your mother. You know, be present in that conversation. Don't let your mind just go, pew, you know, and you're thinking about a million things. Focus in. If you're having a conversation, you're sitting across from your friend, you know, and he's being intimate in a way where he's telling you about his story and how he met his wife and things like that. Be present in that moment. You can learn something valuable, cherish that moment. But you're thinking about the next bill that you have, or you're thinking about what this guy flipped you off when you're going home to work, or you're thinking about your Instagram, or you're thinking about your Snapchat. Just live in the moment.
Yeah, that's where it comes down to, because we're conditioning ourselves to have a very short attention span. And I think if we let go of this very bad habit of social media constantly, we'll gain our attention span back.
I kind of want to get back into, like you were saying, solutions. I want to hear like everyone else's thoughts on that. Like you said, meditation, right? Is that like your final, like, is there anything else you want to add to it before someone else speaks on it? I feel like that's your key for it. And that's fine. If you think that's it, you know, that's completely fine. I'm not asking you to add.
No, I mean, this is what I can think of at the very moment. And I think with meditation, you begin to realize the things that you need to work on, whether it's with people or family, because reflection is key. We don't have time to reflect. We don't have time to reminisce. We're constantly being occupied, our minds, into this second life, right? We need to focus on the first life. Yeah. And then hopefully everything will fall into place.
The only life.
The only life.
What about you, Austin?
I think moderation is key, man. You know, I don't like to be a zealot in anything. I think everything in moderation. You know, so if you even have the poison of social media, in moderation. Poison in moderation become medicine. Medicine out of moderation can become poison. So that's the whole key, you know, just balancing things out.
Elaborate that on that a little more.
Show the camera. Go ahead.
So, I mean, have maybe certain hours that you can use it.
Okay.
As a tool.
Yeah, and they actually have that on Apple. You could limit how much time you spend on, which is funny, right?
Do people do that though?
I know a few people that do that.
Really?
Yeah,
And
but funny
actively?
enough, like I know some people that will like. So after you put like your limit of 1 hour a day or whatever, every time you click on the app, it'll tell you to put in a passcode, and they just put the passcode in. But it makes them realize and feel guilty about it. So they try to be proactive a little bit. You know, at least it cuts it down. It might not be what they want it to be, but that's a start at least. But it's funny, right? That Apple has that.
Yeah, it's ironic. But what do you think, Mo? What would you do?
Other than stopping completely?
I mean, in order for us to just gain our life back, right?
I mean, even
Our
if it is
attention
stopping
spans
completely,
back.
what's your?
No one can stop it completely.
But
come on, let's not lie to ourselves.
No, I
That's
agree.
not gonna happen.
I agree. But if that's what Mo thinks,
Limit.
then he has to. You know, what's your plan on that? Like, how do you solve that?
Well, as a group, I don't think it's going to stop.
Yeah, it's not.
Like, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, of course.
And as an individual, if you want to save yourself, I don't know. I'll let you know when I figure it out. 'Cause I'm spending like crazy time on my phone. You know how like you can check the settings and you can see how long you spend each day on every app? Have you ever looked at that?
Yeah, at first I used to feel guilty when I look. Now I just look at his numbers. Like, I gotta pump those numbers up, baby.
It's like a game.
Yeah, man. How about you, Obad? What do you think?
I kind of agree with like everyone collectively, but I feel like when do we go on our phone the most?
Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it. I don't want you to lose it. I got mine.
Hiking. Get away. Go into nature.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Shut
saying.
the technology off.
When do you get into it the most? It's usually when you're bored, when you don't want to be somewhere or whatever it may be. I feel like filling that time in with something either beneficial, and beneficial doesn't necessarily mean you have to read or something like that. Sometimes relaxing is beneficial. You know what I mean? It's mental healthness, very important. You know, people are big on it nowadays. I feel like just filling it in with something more proactive or beneficial is a start. Because like you said, it's impossible to just have everyone delete the apps.
Right. If we really want to rid ourselves of this really bad habit, we have to go back to the archaic ways. We have to really go back and just meditate, sure, but not like in a room just by yourself doing nothing or trying to have empty thoughts, but let's go back into nature.
Which is also okay, by the way. Some people find that, the best way, being alone in a room. But I see what you're saying, for sure.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to feel like I'm in a cage.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't want to feel like I'm in jail.
Yeah.
Like, here, go sit here and think about what you just did. I won't touch my phone again. I would say let's go back to nature, man. I think that's just really cleansing for your soul. It just goes to show back our creation all around us, a real home. Mm-hmm. There's a connection there that happens. It just really cleanses you, and you come to realize that, what am I doing? I mean, you can obviously always tie it on to Instagram and take those hiking pictures.
Yeah, and you post that.
Yeah, post that.
Hashtag
and people are
nature.
like, wow, I think we're going to have to intertwine into this, right? There's no way this is the bad guy and, the archaic way is the good way. No, we're going to have to really intertwine our archaic values and connect it with the modern technology.
Yeah.
That's how things are going to go, in my opinion.
Are you a mountain nature guy or like the beach?
Both now.
Or lakes, or what is it for you?
Both, everything. Really, I used to be very anti beaches before because I didn't know how to swim. But now I'm like, wow, there's a whole nother realm that I haven't tapped into. After I learned how to swim, I was like, wow, the ocean, right? The embryonic fluid of mothers. It almost feels like you're in your mom's womb when you go back into the ocean, and that energy, the way it pulls.
You're made up of what the world is made up of.
Yeah.
If you remember that movie Avatar, what did that movie in a sense try to say? It's that, when they went into this world where these avatars were, they were connected to the earth that they were in. Yeah. It's like
literally.
Like literally. When our modern day tree hugger, we laugh at him and he's hugging that. I mean, that tree is alive. That tree is alive. That's why, there was, during Jesus's time, they were burying a person, and the companions were saying basically they felt sad about the whole situation. Shufi.
You guys really want to know that the tree's alive? Take a couple of psychedelic mushrooms. You'll come to you guys are laughing, but I'm telling you want to see literally with your own eyes and not like have a certain feeling that you could really talk about philosophically and it's there. No, I'm talking about literally with your own eyes. There's other ways, man. Psychedelics isn't the only one way. I think there's many other pathways to get to the same end. It could be done through fasting, right? I don't know if you guys ever felt this, like when you're fasting. It comes a point where you're very heightened senses and you can almost feel people's energy before even like speaking to them or anything. No?
Mm-hmm.
I think I got that before.
Sleep deprivation is another one of those things. Right?
Mm-hmm.
When you deprive yourself of sleep, you come to a certain point where you're almost delirious. But that delirium comes really back down to that genius who swims in that water that the schizophrenic is drowning in. You know what I mean? You got to know how to just intertwine with it, tap in and out of it. You can't just stay in that one place, if that's making any sense.
100%. That's beautiful that you actually, you give yourself time to escape the world. Just like we were talking about how you have to give yourself time to escape the internet, escape that world. And sleep does that to you because it's telling you too much of this world is not good for you. We're going to take you out of this for a couple of hours where your soul can go and experience something spiritual. And we can come back into this materialistic life that you're embedded in. It's because imagine if you didn't have the ability to sleep, you were just awake for it the whole time. you would just go
Torture.
nuts. Like you're just constantly thinking about your problems or thinking about your responsibilities or having to deal with it, everything that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and you can't take a break. That's why people love, some people, it's funny that they say, why does a child, the child hates going to sleep. It's because he isn't bored of life yet. And I feel like, these people, sometimes you would just rather sleep it off, man.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah.
What if life was endless? My God. No, like everybody's afraid to die, but what if you could live forever?
I feel like that's when insanity would be the normal.
Jesus Christ.
I think that we're able to.
Like, I'm very comfortable with the thought that, okay, this life is finite. And you have your certain time, and then you get out of here. Great. Fuck this place, man. I'm sick of this place. I mean, we laugh about it, but think about it. I mean, I think it's great that it's going to be finite. We're going to have it's going to go like a roller coaster. We're going to go climax. We're going to come back down. It's going to be nice and easy. Imagine you're always going up and down. Like, all right, I want to get off this roller coaster already. Get me off.
Yeah.
Get me
So
off.
true,
There
bro.
is no off. Oh my
Oh
God.
my
That's a lot
God,
scarier
yeah.
than death.
Wow, that's a
that's a weird
beautiful
shit.
way of putting it, man.
No.
Beautiful. I never thought about it that way.
That's yeah.
You got me there, buddy.
But
I might toss and turn a little bit tonight.
But no, I get that existential anxiety too at times. Like, oh my God, we're all gonna die. I'm gonna die. One day this is not gonna exist ever again. Has this ever existed before? No, but who cares? It is here now. Okay, it's not gonna be here tomorrow. Where are you gonna go? But then I have to calm myself down and say, no, it's okay. Just like how sleep is. Are you afraid to go to sleep? Now I'm starting to get afraid to go to sleep. What if I'm not gonna wake up? Right? But no, I still love sleep. It's so beautiful, isn't it?
Alan Watts said that what is it like to go to sleep and never wake up? That's like asking what it's like to wake up but have never gone to sleep.
Oh, I love that one.
And that's when you're born.
I love that one.
So life is majestic, and that's the beauty of it. Like, that's what we're missing. Going back, touching on the technology and touching on how we're addicted to this artificial world. If ancient Egypt had this technology, they wouldn't be able to align the stars. They wouldn't be able to come up with, the concept of pyramid. These people who are out there and just focused on what's going on around them. The universe, the stars, the galaxy, We lost touch with that. We lost touch. Why? Think about the inherent nature of a human being. Why do you think a kid loves to play or roll in the mud or loves to get his hands dirty in the dirt? It's because he knows that essence of being one with the earth that we lost. We don't do that anymore. So I think that's the most important thing.
But you really think that these ancient societies didn't have technology? You really think we're the most advanced?
You're gonna open a
so.
door.
Yeah,
You're gonna open
We're
a
open that door,
door.
but really, I don't think it's true. To touch upon ancient Egyptians, they just found a place like that. There were some civilizations 10,000 years before that probably created it. Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
Right? The contemporary knowledge is that no, this
Who is
was
that? Sorry.
Graham Hancock is I think he's his professor.
He's an Egyptologist.
He's an Egyptologist actually who's dedicated his life to do research on ancient Egypt.
This is like modern day or like
Modern day, like I'm talking about, he's alive right now.
Oh, okay.
He's going on podcasts, just taking the torch and telling people, no, what we know about Egypt is actually not true. And people are like shutting him down. It's like, no, we're kind of stick with the theories that we have. These are tombs. They were ancient people, and they really built it. But it's like,
and it's easy.
What's that?
And it's easy to accept.
It's Well, yeah, because a lot of people have invested their life into this theory, and they don't kind of want to go back and say, "No, I think we messed up." But he talks about so much evidence that goes against the contemporary thoughts that we have as of right now. But man, I don't think it was just a bunch of tombs.
What do you think?
Ancient people. I mean,
It's
I don't
not what
know.
we-
We can
yeah.
speculate. I have no idea. I haven't really looked into a lot of the evidence that he talks about. I watched a couple of episodes of like podcasts, and he's just talking about that there's some weathering going on these on the pyramids that can only occur in tropical environments. And to have that sort of environment around ancient Egypt was almost eons before that we expect the ancient Egyptians to have lived there. So it's not what we necessarily
It's not what we think.
Yeah.
And
I
it's-
don't think we're the most advanced society though.
I think they were more advanced than we are.
Wait. I mean, don't they have like hieroglyphs showing spaceships?
Let's say we're in 2020, right? And then in
What is
2020,
2020?
I made this cup. Okay. Did he say what is 2020?
I mean, it's just a bunch of numbers
It's
from
a bunch
some
of
dude,
numbers.
Yeah.
Jesus, that came about and he left. So now we're just, you know what I mean? Like, what is it? What is 2020?
I mean, we're all just some names and numbers.
No, we're just here in the now.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's say 2020, I made this cup. Okay. And then we disappear. Right? After 3,000 years, somebody finds this cup. And now they have, more advanced technology than we are. Like 1,000 times more. Right? Think of like the Jetsons. No more cars. Everything is just off the charts. They're trying to figure out how I made this cup, right? Because they're not able to duplicate this cup. They're not able to make this exact cup, even with their advanced technology times 1,000. That's crazy. So they've made these pyramids, and they had sticks and stones, and then we're trying to figure out how they built them with all this advanced technology that we have, and we can't even come up with the same thing that they came up with. Who's more advanced? We have a head start, and it's.
Isn't there something about like their placements too? Like,
You mean like the alignment?
yeah, something about
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah. They're aligned with the major stars, like
Something like
yeah,
that. Like it lines with like different
Like
countries across the
Sirius
world
or-
and something.
Yeah.
Which is like a coincidence?
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So
Yeah, exactly, that's what I'm saying.
So what are you touching upon? Because I know you're very anti-alien. So what
I mean,
are you
I'm
touching upon?
I don't know about aliens, but I'm just saying that there's more to it than like
So you really think we're the only species in the whole universe?
not necessarily, but I don't believe that there's green alien like green
Oh, okay. I
creatures
see what you're saying.
with
Not
flying.
that cartoony Hollywood
Yeah.
character. Sure.
Yeah,
But
I believe there's more to it.
brother, we have aliens within the ocean.
Yeah, I mean we know less about the ocean than we do about
Good
space.
point.
We have aliens in this world.
Yeah, no, 100%.
The alien before us having any contact with other continents, we went upon, like, let's say Europeans went to Africa, or Africans went to some continent, Southeast Asia, or they went to far east in Asia. These were all aliens.
Yeah.
Who is this person? What do they look like? How do they work? What are they talking? What noises are they making? What are they eating?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
aliens.
like, well, there's two things, right? There's the first thing I want to say is like it's very easy for everyone to accept what's given to us, the information given to us, where it's about ancient Egypt, aliens, the water, whatever it is, right? But how much how possible is it for everything that we're told to be 100% true from our history and from what we know right now about the ocean and the space and everything. And the second thing I want to mention is, like, touching upon like the whole alien topic you brought up. Do you believe that, like, I don't believe that there's something very possible. I don't know, but I personally don't believe that there's something outer space that is more advanced than we are, to have a flying like sorceress, whatever it is.
You don't think?
I don't think that.
Why is that? What are you basing that on?
I don't personally. I believe that humans are the most sophisticated creatures there are.
You don't think that's a little egocentric?
I don't think so. I really don't. I don't. And I'm
the most advanced. That's like saying Obeda is the strongest human being because you are in this room.
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, you're telling me Francis Ngannou out there can't fuck you up
easily. But what I'm saying is more of like, how to word this. I'm talking about with religion that from what I know, including demons and angels. And then miscellaneous, given, like, I don't want to say aliens because I don't personally believe in aliens, but miscellaneous from what we don't know, that we are the most advanced, given free will, knowledge, power. You know what I mean?
What do you think, Juan? When it comes to the alien topic?
I mean, let me tell you what I think.
I want to hear this too, honestly.
I read this thing once and it said, I don't know what's scarier. The fact that we might be alone in this universe, or the possibility that we aren't. So
wow, that's it. Yeah,
man. Because imagine we're the only ones. Damn, we're the only ones here.
I mean, I don't know if it sucks, but it's a scary thought. You know, it's, you know, how big is the universe? I mean, the universe that we're in is called the Milky Way, correct?
No, the galaxy.
The galaxy. I'm sorry, the galaxy. Yeah.
You know, I don't like when you do that.
I'm sorry, man. You know, but you know, it's just, man, listen, to say that we just popped up out of nowhere, you know, I think that's like
a little egocentric, right?
It's like, you know, when people say, oh, you know, we just out of dust and the Big Bang and now all of a sudden we're here. Believe me, this is it, right? When they say that, it's kind of like me telling you, if you're asking me, what's behind that door? And I'm like, nothing.
Because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, and you're like, did you go behind that? I'm like, nope, never been behind that door.
Right.
But it's nothing. Believe me, it's nothing. It's a bit crazy.
I do believe you believe that there's nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
But the actually nothing out there, I don't know, man.
It's just too much.
It's too much.
It's too vast.
Okay, let me ask this. Let me just add on to this real quick. So, if you believe that we're not the most advanced, right? Then, and you believe there are aliens.
No, I'm not saying that I know that we're not the advanced.
Okay, fair.
But I like to leave it open-ended that I don't know.
But if there is a more advanced creature, and aliens or whatever it may be, why haven't they come here or whatever it may be? So why haven't we seen them?
So you know who answered this? Neil deGrasse Tyson really answered this.
He said, what is he again?
He tried to.
He's an astrophysicist. The astrophysicist, that really famous astrophysicist, the pop science astrophysicist. That everyone loves. But he basically said, "Do you ever want to go and have a conversation with a chimpanzee?" No. So somebody who's more advanced than us, you think they want us to come down to earth and say, hey, guys, how are you? We just wanted to introduce ourselves. You know, we're just your neighbors. No.
That's a good point, but maybe they want to take over Earth.
I think that's we're thinking like humans now, right? If you are a little bit more advanced, then you're probably beyond this human-like thinking of taking over other countries and raping and taking over villages and things of that nature, taking somebody's property, or even the concept of property doesn't exist in their thought process. You know, like we can't even fathom something more advanced than us.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying.
Because we're so stuck in this human society.
This is all we know.
Yeah, exactly.
This is all we know.
It's all